Happy Victory Monday, and welcome back to the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 286 of the Purple Rain podcast, the Nick Boyle episode, Todd Heap episode, Billy Badger episode, of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you for coming through to this episode, this lovely Victory Monday episode. We have so much to talk about. Big win on Saturday, big game on Wednesday. Thank you for coming through and spending your Monday evening with us. Christmas is 2 days away, which is very exciting time. So thank you once again for spending your holiday week as well with us. But first and foremost, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. Follow this guy right here on Instagram or on X at Sun Death. You can follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod or on X at simplyas10. And most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. Use code PRP for 20% off your whole entire order and free international shipping. I forgot my charger for my Mac, so I'm gonna hand it off to you, Sutton, real quick, and take it away. Make my charger.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Again, like he said, welcome back to this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Whether you're watching live right now or if you're part of the hashtag replay gang, big shout out to you. Make sure whether you're part of either crew, like the video. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Okay, because I got a funny feeling, right? Alex might not share the same sentiment with me, but I have a funny feeling that this might be our year. Dare I say? Don't let Alex know that I said that. Don't let Alex know that I said that. Hopefully he's not listening. We do have a super chat donation, our first super chat donation of the episode coming in from DWAS. What's going on, DWAS? Appreciate you for coming through. Hope you and yours are doing well. Says the referee for the game on Christmas is Alan Eck. Okay. All right. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that one goes. I will be at that game on Christmas Day in Houston in NRG Stadium watching live. So I'll see firsthand and up close how good Alan Eck is refereeing and officiating this game, man. But again, thank you so much for the two-piece, dropping it down below in the chat, making it rain here on episode 286 of PRP. Again, I know you guys are, still kind of trickling in here. Like the video, sound off in the comments. Let us know you are here. Listen, the vibes are higher now than they were a couple of weeks ago, just by default, right? Tucker's making kicks. MVP conversation is swinging back towards Lamar Jackson. The defense is looking better. We're playing on Christmas. Man, look, it's looking good. It's looking good right now. We're still contending for the AFC North AFC North division title. So look, there's some reasons to be optimistic, and we want to talk about those reasons here tonight. Lots of things to talk about. Of course, the Ravens' huge victory over the Steelers on Saturday. And then, of course, we have this whole MVP controversy between Lamar Jackson and one Josh Allen. We'll get into that a little bit more. And then Diontae Johnson, man, to the Texans. That just came out today. Alex and I are quite frankly disgusted. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But again, thank y'all so much for coming out to this episode 286 of the Purple Rain podcast. We got to bring up who we have here in the live chat. We got Mod K-Dog in here per usual. Says, funny we swap receivers with the Texans 2 days before our showdown. You cannot make this stuff up. You just cannot make this stuff up, K-Dog. It's comical. Absolute cinema. Lisa Ann is in the house. Says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Alex, Sutton, Death, and friends. I'm not at all happy that Pat Ricard did not get the football. I mean, yeah, I know your guy Pat Ricard hasn't really been turning up the way that you would have expected him to in the past couple of weeks or months, for that matter. But hopefully we see some Pat Ricard play in the playoffs. Maybe that's kind of like a secret weapon. You know what I'm saying? Well, he's not really a secret weapon. That's the thing. He's not really a secret weapon because you see him blocking a lot for Derrick Henry. But in terms of him getting the football, maybe it could be like a change of pace thing. You never know. Yeah, we'll see. We got Sean Coles in the house. What's going on, Sean? Appreciate you for coming through. We got Mod Rouge says, what's up, Rain Gang? What's going on, Rouge? Appreciate you for coming through. He says the bank was rocking on Saturday. Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a second here. Let me see. Love West says, simply, you did guess that Henry would have a game. We'll give you props. Yeah, you did call that one. Also, I called a shot too. I called an Isaiah Likely touchdown, and that happened.
Mm,
So,
did.
Mystic Alex and Mystic Sutton over here. This is the Mystic Purple Rain podcast. Make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, because we got a lot more predictions coming your way for the rest of this season, man. Rainmaker says Johnson signed with the Texans. Yes, he did. That is news that just came out just a couple of hours ago, and we will get into that on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast as well. Okay, Alex, we're 5 minutes in. I want to ask you. I want to go to you first on this one. We're going to talk about the Ravens beating the Steelers 34-17 at the bank on Saturday. You were at the game, and so let us know how the environment was. What was the atmosphere like at the bank on Saturday, and just what did you take away from that win?
Well, the vibes are very high from the second you step out the car. Lots of Ravens fans, tons of Ravens fans. Letting the Steeler fans know that they were in enemy territory. Choice words being thrown at them, chants being thrown at them. Stuff like that. It was actually my first Ravens Steelers game, so I took it all in. It was an experience. Lots of number 6 Steeler jerseys. I'll tell you that right now. They thought they were doing something with them jerseys. To tell you that, but I predicted us to win. I wasn't really that nervous because I thought we were looking good. I think all of us thought we were going to win. But I think the only nervy moment in the game for me, to be completely honest, was Justin Tucker kicking that 51-yard field goal. Outside of that, not really any nerves. We started off strong. The fumbles obviously were the first 5 minutes were a little nervy, but after that, like once we got the Isaiah Likely touchdown, even when they scored, I still felt like we were the better team. And then just the Steelers were making dumb mistakes. None dumber to me than Mr. Unlimited, Dangerous, Broncos country, let's ride, thinking he's 2012, 2013, thinking it's a whole different world back then, running up the middle and trying to go for the touchdown when just take what the defense gives you. And you got greedy, Russ. And you met one undrafted free agent, one pit bull.
Talk about it.
By the name of Darius
Talk about it. See, here's the thing. Real quick. I think that happened because Russell Wilson really wanted to put a stamp on that game and take the energy out of the bank. And he saw an opportunity to do that against 5'8" Ardarius Washington, a seemingly smaller guy who he thought he could take advantage of. He could maybe run over. But little did he know, like you said, that's the pit bull. But go ahead and continue. My bad.
He didn't watch film, obviously, because Ardarius, he's laid a couple of hits this year on some guys. He covered CeeDee Lamb a couple of times, making some hits. The Broncos game, met a guy at the 1-yard line on 4th down and stopped him. But getting back to the whole atmosphere, bank was rocking all night. Light shows going on. If you were there, they gave us the wristbands, fireworks going off, man. It was insane. It was a great experience. If you have never been to a Ravens primetime game at the bank, you got to go. Yeah, I've been grateful to go to 2 this year, Thursday night and Saturday night. Unreal. It was cold. They had hot chocolate there, but fantastic game. And that Marlon pick six happened I was in the 500, so I was up there, but it happened towards the end zone. And I saw Marlon jump it, and I just knew he was gone because nobody was catching him, and I just started jumping up. I didn't even see him run in the end zone. Genuinely, I took my eyes off the field, and it just got so freaking loud. That's up there with one of the coolest, craziest plays I've seen in person. But it was a great night overall, and man, just that was a good Ravens win. That was a team we've been waiting to see that type of performance all year, honestly.
Yeah, and with the struggles that this team has had recently against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it could not have come at a better time. Striving towards the playoffs, striving towards trying to at least contend for the first spot in the AFC North. We needed that one because I can only imagine if the Ravens lost that game and watching the Steelers just celebrate a division title in Baltimore, that would have been just catastrophic to say the least. And, for us to get that win is huge. It's huge. So I want to bring up some players here, the highest graded players from PFF from the Week 16 victory versus the Steelers. Of course, we have Lamar Jackson coming in at number 1, 90.2 PFF rating, which, we always want to take the PFF ratings with a little grain of salt, right? Just a little grain of salt. But the guy played really, really well. I mean, 3 touchdowns, of course, the 1 interception, which was still not, I don't want to say it wasn't Lamar Jackson's fault. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be the guy who says like, oh, none of the picks that he had this season were his fault. At the end of the day, you throw a pick, it's on you. It's on the quarterback. But I do recognize that Rashad Bateman sat down on his route instead of continuing to run. So it was just a miscommunication between Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman, and that's not the first time that's happened between those two this season. So there's that. But other than that, man, outside of that, Lamar Jackson played a very, very clean game. Just kind of looking at the touchdowns that he threw, the one to Bateman, where I mean, they're playing too high. They're playing too high. He pump fakes to get one of the corners down, right? To bring one of the corners down, and then he throws an absolute dot to the corner of the end zone to Rashad Bateman, who's just right there. And of course, Rashad Bateman, being as talented as he is able to get it and toe tap it and make sure he comes in bounds and scores the touchdown, man. That touchdown right there was just absolutely, it was very indicative of why I think, me personally, Lamar Jackson should be in the MVP conversations, because he's changing narratives. He's killing narratives every single season. People said, oh, he cannot pass from the pocket. He can't read a defense. He can't fit a ball into a tight window. He can do all of those things, and he's proving it time and time and time again. But what was your assessment of Lamar Jackson's play?
I thought he didn't throw, I mean, it's been all year. He hasn't really thrown bad passes. The Bateman one, I'm a very big Bateman career throw. We know that, but it was on him. And I'm only saying that because I saw the video clip of Monken yelling, "Bait, bait, what are you doing?" Which, that's not on Lamar. He ran the wrong route, unfortunately, but get that cleaned up. Outside of that, though, I thought it was just another Lamar game. It was just him not making bad decisions, taking what the defense gives to you, and showing that I can only run for 20 yards, but I'm just going to throw it on you. Threw for over 200. I mean, he was efficient. And Derrick Henry, obviously, big game. And Lamar did this without one of his kind of guys he trusts in the passing game, in Justice Hill, his dump off guy. He went out early, unfortunately. Scary, scary hit, by the way. He was knocked out cold. Like,
yeah, he was
unconscious.
Happened.
You could see he was knocked out cold. That was a very, very scary hit. And the fact he got up was even crazy and walked off the field. But that's kind of the standard Lamar game, just 200 yards, couple touchdowns, some rushing yards here and there, but he didn't have to use his legs to win the game, which was nice to see. And he didn't have to play hero ball either.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on Derrick Henry, who's also on this list of highest graded players according to PFF from that game. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 162 yards, 6.8 a carry. I mean, you literally cannot win a football game giving up those type of numbers on the ground, especially not to a team that has the running prowess that the Baltimore Ravens have. And Derrick Henry, man, I want to get into Derrick Henry a little bit more later on in the episode when we start talking about the MVP controversy and stuff like that. But he had himself a hell of a game. We needed that game from Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers also had a nice 5 catches for 100 yards even. Again, man, Zay Flowers proving why Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, both of those guys, man, have stepped up in a big way. This season, and I could not be more proud of the both of them. I am honestly rejoicing that now we see guys on Twitter, right? Guys, fans of other teams, right? Talking about how Lamar Jackson's got all these dangerous weapons and how he's spoiled with that. And it's just like, we really used to pray for times like this, when people would kind of envy our receiving core. And right now you really can, because Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman are doing their thing. Not to mention, of course, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, they're all doing their thing as well. I mean, it's just, I love it.
Yeah, I got to add on to the Isaiah Likely real quick, because that catch he made on the sideline when we were pinned deep, that was a beautiful catch and throw. Lamar put it only where Isaiah Likely could get it, caught it, stayed in bounds. I mean, that was, and even the touchdown too. He sold it so well, wide open. Like, it was. We're using every target. We're just spreading the ball around. Mark Andrews, he had a quiet first half, but that second half woke up, had a nice catch when Patrick Queen was covering him. 15 yards there and a touchdown there. How do you leave number 89 wide open in the red zone? Like, Lamar just had to find him back in the end zone. 6.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and Andrews does a really good job of that, kind of leaking out into open space, and Lamar Jackson will just throw a rope and put it right on him. Almost to the point where Mark Andrews almost dropped that pass. He almost dropped it.
yep.
You kind of had to like double clutch it, but I'm glad he did haul it in. But who else was I going to give a shout out to? Who's not on this list? Well, of course, shout out to Kyle Van Noy. He did have himself a sack.
Oh,
That was great to see
oh
from
man.
him. He's over 10 sacks on the season. He's having himself a hell of a season, literally the best season of his career. So big shout out to Kyle Van Noy.
Yep.
Um, but one guy I want to give a special shout out to is rookie right tackle Roger Rosengarten, who
Yeah.
had TJ Watt for the most part in jail for most of that game. Now, listen, I get the context. TJ Watt was not 100%. Hell, he probably wasn't even 90 or 80% going into that game. But that's still TJ Watt versus a rook, right? And there were multiple plays where Roger Rosengarten just completely handled him, made him a non-factor on plays, shoved him into the ground on a play or two, and that's something that you love to see for a rookie right tackle because it builds his confidence, right? And it's at the perfect time of the season where, going into the playoffs, he's going to draw a lot of tough assignments, just by the nature of it being the playoffs and him being a rookie, we're going to need him to step up. And I thought that his performance on Saturday against TJ Watt, that was huge. But what did you see?
I'm right there with you. I mean, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like we have our right tackle and center locked down for the foreseeable future. I want Ronnie Stanley re-signed in the offseason, or hopefully they're working on it because he's, he has his games against the Steelers, and I get it, but if you look at the whole season so far, Ronnie Stanley's played above average, which I'll take. So if you can spend this whole offseason just trying to fix your guards, you're in a good spot. But yeah, Roger Rosengarten, second round pick. I didn't think he would, take the leap that he did, from whenever he first started. He had a, shaky start. It wasn't even starting week one. It was Makari at right tackle or for Falele, whoever it was there. But for him to come in there and hold that right tackle position down and make it his own, uh, big shout out to him. Kyle Van Noy, fumble recovery as well. He jumped on it. I got to give him love there. I mean, that was, great heads up. Um, and then Kyle Hamilton. Uh, One thing that kind of frustrates me when you go to these games, right? And I feel like everybody in this chat knows when he went up on
Mm-hmm.
that fourth down. Oh, why didn't he pick it off? Why didn't he pick it off? It's fourth down.
Yeah, like, come on
That's a
now.
heads up play, just breaking it up. Like, you want the ball
Yeah.
at the 1 yard line? No. So even there, like, he just his tracking speed is unreal. That's Calvin Austin, by the way, who is an absolute track sprinter right there. Covered up that ground, broke it up. You can't say much more about him. If you want to get a Ravens jersey that isn't Lamar Jackson, you might as well get number 14, Kyle Hamilton, because he'll be a cornerstone piece of this franchise for many more years to come. Honestly, what a player we got. A pick 14, by the way. Pick
Yeah.
freaking 14.
Yeah. Pick number 14 to get number 14, right? He is one of the best players on this defense right now, and his transition back to free safety it's been everything. It's been everything. And I do also want to give a shout out to Zach Orr. I want to give a shout out to Zach Orr because I feel as though the credit that we give him should be just as loud as the disrespect or the discredit that he got earlier in this regular season. Since week 10, this defense has been, I don't want to say absolutely lights out, but it's been pretty damn close, right? There's been a massive resurgence on the defensive side of the football, and I really can't look at anybody else other than Zach Orr. Just like I said earlier in the season when the defense was struggling, I'm looking at Zach Orr and I'm looking at the improvements that he's made there, and I hope, right, that they continue to make improvements going on, of course, going towards the postseason, so that we can continue to dominate these teams. But man, big shout out to Zach Orr. Big shout out to the defense. KP says defense really was the turning point of this game. The Ardarius fumble, Hamilton pass breakup, and the Marlon pick six. Yeah, that Marlon pick six, just kind of circling back to that really quick. I was kind of hesitant on celebrating because I just knew that there was going to be a penalty flag coming out or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where they were going to call that back and it was going to be a replay of the down or whatever. But there were no penalties. And that really sealed the deal on this game, And I'm sure you could probably even feel that more being at the bank and just the energy that was rocking in there. They really did not have much of a chance after that pick six at all. So, yeah, big plays from a lot of different guys. Love to see it. Let's go ahead and talk about the AFC North now. So, as it stands right now, you have the Ravens and the Steelers tied at the top of the AFC North. And it's going to come down to these last two games, obviously. The Houston Texans and the Cleveland Browns are two teams that the Ravens must take care of business against in order to even have a chance at winning the AFC North, right? We're going to need the Steelers to drop one. We're going to need them to drop one to the Kansas City Chiefs or the Bengals. I can see them losing on Christmas Day. I can. I feel like right now on a 2-loss streak, they might be reeling just a little bit. And the Chiefs, they're not playing for nothing since the Bills won yesterday over the Patriots. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to go ahead and win that game. Where is it? Is it in Arrowhead or is it in Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
It's in Pittsburgh? Okay. It gives them a little bit more, give them a little bit more of a chance to win. But, when it comes to voodoo magic, I'm taking Andy Reid all day over anybody, and Patrick Mahomes over anybody. So yeah, what are your thoughts so far or right now on the AFC North?
I think I'm right there with you. It's gonna be hard because the Bengals still have a chance to make the playoffs, which is still a little bit scary to me. I don't want them to make the playoffs for obvious reasons, but if I could have it my way, the Steelers lose on Wednesday and beat the Bengals week 18. I really would like that because then we would hopefully we win out, which I think we do. Personally, I think we do win out. But
same.
Yeah, I do think the Steelers dropped the one on Wednesday. To me, Russell Wilson the amount of pressure we got on him, he was just throwing the ball away most of the time. Wasn't looking like the one that we saw a couple weeks ago. That was putting up points. I don't want to say he's figured out, but Arthur Smith is not a good OC, with all due respect. So they were missing George Pickens as well. I'm not gonna lie, that hurt them, but yeah. So I think they dropped the one on Wednesday, and they'll beat the Bengals week 18, because their Bengals defense is absolutely depleted, and I think that'll just be too much. But yeah, so I think we win the division and have a home playoff game.
Yeah. And again, man, just a huge victory on Wednesday over the Steelers. Not to say it's like our Super Bowl or anything like that. I had a lot of Steelers fans coming in my DMs talking about this is y'all Super Bowl, this and that. And I'm just like, okay, sure. I mean, whatever floats your boat. Here's the Cope Extra Strength. You take a couple tablets and see how you're feeling in a few hours, right? But Mod Boz here, Mod Boz in the house says, I dislike all of you right now. That's my one and only message. Merry Christmas, Rain Gang. F the Ravens. Amen. I feel you. Merry Christmas to you too, Boz. But listen, man, maybe we'll see each other again in the playoffs. Maybe. We'll see.
Respect for coming through. Number one, respect.
Yeah, for sure. You didn't have to do that. Number two. But you did. You're here.
I don't talk trash to Steelers fans. I honestly, it was over the game yesterday. Like, I'm already was looking at the Texans because that's just kind of how it is. And I do want to give some respect to the Ravens, like Kyle Hamilton. And there's a little bit of a dig towards a certain team. Obviously, playing 3 games in 10 days is unhealthy, I think. I don't think it should ever be a thing. But, you know what? That's what it is. We can't change it. Unlike a certain team that wears red, complaining about it, this and that. We're just whatever, bring it on. And so hopefully, all teams are healthy and get good health wise. But yeah, I'm on to Houston, was on it yesterday, and let's go out there Wednesday and have a good Christmas once again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree there. Totally agree. Jeremiah says, honestly, I was looking past Pittsburgh. I really wasn't. Even with George Pickens being out, that's still a tough team. The defense is going to show up to play against us. And, our offense, I think we played with a lot of pride. Roquan said this was a check your manhood game. I think the manhood was checked, and it is valid indeed. So I loved what I saw from my Ravens there. Again, but like you said, We are on to Houston Christmas Day. It's going to be another huge game, and then of course we got to wrap up the season against the Cleveland Browns. That's another one we have to get back, right? Because we dropped one against them earlier in the season. So let's go ahead and let's move on here. Let's move on to some other talks. Speaking of Houston, right? Speaking of Houston, Houston just acquired Diontae Johnson today, right? That was news coming out of Adam Schefter and a whole bunch of other camps today. With the I word of one Tank Dell that we saw on Wednesday, which prayers up to him. That looked like, a pretty bad I word, and CJ Stroud was really, really beat up over it because they're close and stuff like that. So I really do hope that he has a speedy recovery. I heard he spent the night in the hospital. That's how egregious, gives you an idea of how egregious that I word was. So, prayers up to him. But in light of that, they brought in Diontae Johnson, to kind of fill that role a little bit and give them a little bit more firepower in their wide receiver room as they get ready for the playoffs. And it's just, again, you could not script this stuff any better. You just couldn't. Let me go ahead and bring it up on the screen here. You just couldn't draft this stuff up any better. I don't understand why we have to be the team, right, who goes through these sort of things, these trials and tribulations. Alex, I want to get your reaction first. What was your initial knee-jerk reaction when you heard that the Houston Texans claimed Diontae Johnson on waivers from the Ravens today?
I laughed, honestly. Stop feeding the spoiled baby, basically. Whatever. You can call me whatever name you want. I think you're rewarding bad behavior. He's talented, obviously, but you can use him, I guess. But I really hope he gets no snaps, or I hope their season just goes to shit, for lack of better words, with him, because the Niners and Devondre Campbell, who was a starting player for them at a time, spending the rest of the year not playing, and we can't make Marcus Williams inactive and Diontae Johnson inactive because that's two healthy scratches, unfortunately. So we had to let him go. That's kind of where I'm thinking why we let him go, because I think if Marcus Williams was playing, we could obviously healthy scratch him the whole year. But go ahead, have his attitude, have his drama, because he's still not the number one receiver there. They still have Joe Mixon. They're still going to be running the ball. Nico Collins is a top 5 maybe right now this year, the way he was playing. Obviously, top 10 receiver in the league. Good luck. I hope the grass is greener, as some say. But good riddance. I was happy we let him go. I wanted him to honestly rot on inactives. And I'm just kind of upset, you're rewarding bad teammate behavior. But, oh well. Enjoy. No longer a Ravens.
Yeah, I can definitely see your point there. I am glad that he is out of our hair for good. And some people are kind of speculating whether or not he's going to play on Wednesday. I don't think so. He would have time for just the walkthrough, and that's pretty much about it. Mm-hmm. But I don't see him playing on Wednesday. Now, the only thing, of course, he's going to travel to Houston, of course, and be there with the team and stuff like that. But a lot of people online were saying oh, he's just going to drop the Ravens playbook to the Houston Texans. And now would be the perfect time to kind of let the Houston Texans know about some of the secrets and things that the Ravens plan on doing. But I'd also argue, I don't think this guy really knows the playbook. I don't think he really does. I think he was just kind of going out there and wanted to, it was mid-season. The Ravens acquired him. He wanted to go out there, just prove himself, just get open, do something, and that just never really panned out. And once he started getting frustrated, I doubt he put his head deeper into the playbook. I don't think he did that, especially after he started getting frustrated. So I don't really think he has much, many tells to tell Houston about what Baltimore wants to do. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I remember, what was it? Khalil Herbert got traded to the Bengals, I think that Tuesday when the trade deadline was, played Thursday and fumbled the ball on one of his couple of carries. So if they want Diontae to play, go ahead. He'll probably have miscommunication with CJ Stroud. Somebody picks the ball off, or he'll fumble the ball, or he'll have a drop. I don't know. But I really doubt he plays. I'm going to go 80% not play. Honestly, no. 87% not play, 13% maybe will play. I don't see it happening at all. I just don't think it'd be smart to throw him out there in meaningful situations in a game like this. There's no chemistry, no nothing. Hell, he's probably just getting there today, So he's at one walkthrough. Like, how many plays would he really play, Run a slant, run a go, like what? I don't see it. So I'm right there with you. I doubt he plays.
Yeah, I don't see him playing either. But again, I like you said to begin this with, I don't really like rewarding the bad behavior with, sending him to a playoff contender. I just don't. You got guys like Tom Brady saying, "Oh, Diontae Johnson, Devondre Campbell." You got guys around the league who don't want to suit up for their team, who don't want to go out there and play for their team, for their guys, right? Is that the kind of guy that you want in your locker room? Like if I'm CJ Stroud, right? I don't think Tank Dell would ever do anything like that, especially considering how close him and CJ Stroud are. So how good is the chemistry really going to be between a guy who is really down for his guys, like a CJ Stroud, and a mercenary like Diontae Johnson, who, if things don't go his way, he will throw a hissy fit. You never know how it's going to go after that. So I don't know. Maybe he's had behavioral issues on most teams that he's been on. So we'll see how this pans out for Houston. We really will.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear about talent because obviously it's nowhere near as of a whack job, I'll say, as AB was. But don't get me wrong. When Antonio Brown took his helmet off, took his pads off, he would have started on, honestly, most of the best teams in the league. But there's a reason why no team wanted that drama, wanted to deal with it. And this, Diontae, there's not many more teams that will take a chance on you left. I thought it was funny the Chargers put in a claim for him. Jim thinking he can, fix John's mistakes. Like that was a little funny to me. Just the good old Chargers, who, by the way, signed Eddie Jackson today to the practice squad.
Yes, I saw.
So you're taking a lot of the Ravens' headaches. The same Eddie Jackson who was upset that he wasn't going to get playing time, or he got benched behind Darius Washington, who was a UDFA. That's the same one. So enjoy it. And Diontae, I hope you have learned your lesson. Most likely not. So if not, get ready to learn XFL, UFL.
I love it. Let's go ahead and chug right along here. We have some questions here in the chat. This one coming from Thea Pennell the fourth says, "What is going on with Keaton Mitchell? Is he not fully healed?" So yeah, of course, didn't play last game, was inactive, but of course with the I word to Justice Hill, him getting hurt last game, and again, prayers up to him. Hopefully he's okay with that concussion. Keaton Mitchell, I think, is on the horizon now to get some snaps out of the backfield. John Harbaugh said it at the pressers today. He said that Keaton, or it might have been yesterday, he said Keaton Mitchell should be ready to go and active for Wednesday's game. And I would assume that means he's going to get a couple of carries, right? Because Justice Hill is a big part of this offense. He's a big part of this offense, right? And so I think that with the subtraction of him, the absence of Justice Hill, we're going to see maybe some outside runs, dare I say, to Keaton Mitchell as a change of pace, kind of like what we saw last season. And me personally, I cannot wait to see that, because that's something that no team has seen yet this year. And I feel like it could be a very, very nice change of pace from a Derrick Henry, who is just coming fresh off of a 162-yard game, averaging 7 yards a pop against the Steelers, who only give up 94 a game on the ground. So to damn near double that up, you know what I mean? Like, teams are not teams, but the Houston Texans are really, really going to be focusing heavily on Derrick Henry. And I love when Derrick Henry is not in the game for this reason. When you have Justice Hill or Keaton Mitchell, whoever else, the possibilities really are endless, right? And I think that the defenses, they normally know when Derrick Henry is in the game, it's going to be a run. The ball is going his way most times, right? But when Justice Hill is in the game, there's a little bit bigger of a question mark there. You don't really know exactly what's coming. So I think that with the absence of Justice Hill, we will see a little bit of Keaton Mitchell in there, the Pennell. I really do.
Yeah, I'm just going to add on to that. Missing Keaton Mitchell, we had last year. Hell, even Charlie Kolar. I want him back soon, because mainly in the run blocking. I don't know if you saw today on the Pat McAfee show, Mark Andrews said Kolar broke his arm from Derrick Henry running into him during a game. So
I did not
that's
hear
kind
that.
of scary. Yeah, Mark Andrews on the Pat McAfee show today. That's how Charlie Kolar broke his arm from a
Damn,
Derrick Henry collision. Scary.
that is scary.
Scary.
It's pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Derrick Henry, absolute mammoth of a man. You know what I mean? Like super hard to bring this guy down. Also very fast as well. I mean, the guy was pulling away from Patrick Queen in open space, which is like crazy because Patrick Queen is known for kind of being the lightning, having that quickness, that speed, right? But Derrick Henry, once he hits that top speed, he's just gone, man. And of course, with all that size, that's a lot of force, right? Running right into you. So Charlie Kolar breaking his arm up against Derrick Henry's body. I mean, that it checks out. It checks out. But damn, I did not know that. I did not know that. Let me see. All right. So let's go ahead and switch gears here again into our third topic of the episode, right?
Yeah.
So the Ravens and specifically Lamar Jackson has been super intertwined with all of this MVP talk. And it's really heating up to the point now where X is going crazy. I mean, social media is going crazy in general with who they think should win the MVP between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, especially after this past week 16. Of course, we had Lamar Jackson putting up an MVP level performance. Again, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That really wasn't too much of his fault, right? But then you had Josh Allen on the other end of things, right? Who's kind of right there neck and neck with Lamar Jackson. Some people might say Josh Allen is pulling away with it, but Josh Allen yesterday, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, lower QB rating than Drake May. Damn near got outplayed by Drake May, and barely squeaks away with the victory against the Patriots. Also got a little bit banged up, on his elbow in that game as well. So it's going to be very, very close. It's going to be a photo finish. But Alex, I do want to kind of bring up, just to give us some context on what these kind of national media talking heads are saying right now before we get into it, right? Before we dive into it, I want to play a clip. This one's coming from Rex Ryan, right? Former Ravens defensive coordinator. So this one's going to be a little bit rough. Alex, give me the thumbs up if you can hear the audio once I start playing it.
I think everybody was like, hey, this is Josh Allen's MVP race. But Lamar, 3 touchdown passes. Do you think he's closed the gap here? Are we looking neck and neck? What do you think?
No, I think it's Josh Allen. I don't even think it's close. But look, Derrick Henry, that motion or whatever, drifting it over, that's fine. That Haas in the backfield makes a difference right there. 162 yards against supposed to be a really good run defense and all that. Well, I mean, that's another reason why Lamar's numbers, and I get it, they're outstanding and things like that. But here's some numbers that people forget. They've had 417 more rushing yards to running backs than Josh Allen has. Like, this is a guy that does it. Without Josh Allen, this team wins 2 or 3 games for the Bills. Lamar Jackson, you can still hand it to a Hall of Fame running back. So to me, I think that's the reason. Lamar's had a spectacular, year.
Yes, he does.
I love Lamar.
Every year.
But absolutely. But Josh Allen, like, no way, man. Give me Josh Allen.
Okay, so that was one Rex Ryan again, former Ravens defensive coordinator, saying that basically because Derrick Henry has been running the ball so well this year, then that kind of discredits Lamar Jackson's standings in the MVP race because Derrick Henry is making Lamar Jackson's job easier and not vice versa. So before we get into our takes on this, we do have a super chat donation. This one's coming from Maddie. Boom. What's going on, Maddie? Appreciate you for coming through, dropping the 5-piece in the chat, making it rain here on episode 286 of the Purple Rain podcast. Says, I'm a little late, but big W on Saturday. But Ben Cleveland belongs in the Wyatt 6 in Falele, should be in the bloodline. Am I reading this right?
You're reading that right. I saw this, I think it's something to do with WWE. I think I saw the whole Falele thing on Twitter, X, I'm sorry. But yeah, Falele is still just not starting caliber guard in the NFL. I hate to say it. And he's still being played, so it's going to stay that way. We're lucky to have Lamar Jackson because the line was folding in certain moments, and that's why you got to get this guard situation figured out. over the offseason, but first and foremost, get Stanley locked up and try to get some of your guys locked up, and then draft a guard maybe. Who knows? But yeah. But to talk about the whole MVP, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, a very big W on Saturday. I unfortunately gave in to fight the good fight with this whole Lamar MVP, Josh Allen. I saw all these Bills fans, man. To me, what Josh Allen does doesn't impact my day. Go to sleep, put my pants on one leg at a time. But whatever Lamar Jackson does, some of these Bills fans, they have a real problem with this guy. So much to the point where Twitter has this feature where you can go to somebody's profile and type in a word, type in any word, and you can look up how many times they've tweeted this certain word. I did that. This man, grown-ass man, within a month, within days, I scrolled. I went like that. Lamar, you were still in December of 2024.
Yeah.
Yes. So
you aired him out.
All around. Oh, I did. And apparently somebody responded back saying, dude, he said 15, 20 more times since you put it. I'm like, whatever. With all that being said, this whole Lamar and Derrick Henry thing. You say take away the quarterback. Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry last year, or Will Levis, whatever. What did the Titans do last year with a Hall of Fame running back behind them and a bad line? Where did they go? If you're acting like the Titans made the playoffs when they had AJ Brown, Tannehill, not when they had Will Levis and Derrick Henry. They couldn't win what, 8 games, right? And it's like they're blaming number 8's fault for using what he's given. No, it is such a bad comparison in my opinion. Then when you had Josh Allen in all these MVP debates with Stephon Diggs, with who he was throwing to and all that, they didn't take that away from him. So I don't want to hear any of this. To me, I think Lamar is playing the best quarterback in the league right now. He is my MVP. But if you want to believe what you want to believe, numbers, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Look at the numbers for quarterback, Lamar. Leave it at that.
Yeah, and when you look at the numbers for running back, and you look at a specific running back's numbers, his name is Derrick Henry. He's having one of the best statistical seasons of his career this year at 30 years old. Okay, this is unheard of. And so when you look at it like that, you kind of have to sit back and ask yourself, what can we attribute that to? Right? Me personally, I would attribute that to the value that Lamar Jackson brings with his legs. Right? And I want to really kind of hone in on the word value. Right? Because the value that Lamar Jackson brings makes Derrick Henry who he is in year whatever he's in right now at 30 years old. You know what I'm saying? There were multiple runs this season, even some on Saturday against the Steelers, where you have this, this read option with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and teams outside linebackers are really, really biting down on Lamar Jackson, right? The read defender on the outside is biting down on Lamar Jackson and letting Derrick Henry run freely. This is something that you have to wake up and see if you're going to have these types of arguments about Derrick Henry being the reason why the Ravens are so good this season. Look at the QBR, right? Every time that Lamar Jackson has a QBR or pass rating, one of the two numbers, below 114, the Ravens are 0-5. They are winless. They have no wins if Lamar Jackson's playing less than perfect. You know what I mean? Regardless of what Derrick Henry is doing. So that is something that's an argument that I throw it out the window, because a lot of what Derrick Henry is doing is predicated off of the threat of Lamar Jackson running the football, right? And that's where you get value from. But let's move it along a little bit here. I do want to bring up another video, right? Another clip.
Okay, cool.
This one is coming from Emmanuel Acho from the facility. He gives his reasoning on why Josh Allen is his MVP. Let me go ahead and bring this up on screen here. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen.
Josh Allen is the MVP for me. I will give you my reasoning as to why. Lamar Jackson, if it was thin, razor thin, he won head-to-head. So Lamar Jackson an advantage there. But Josh Allen has 2 less losses than Lamar Jackson. So to me, that neutralizes the fact that Lamar Jackson won head-to-head because Lamar Jackson also lost to the Raiders very early in the season. And if I'm not mistaken, Lamar Jackson lost another game week 2 that he should not have lost. So that neutralizes a head-to-head factor. So now I'm looking at what else. Simply put, Josh Allen has to do just as much, if not more, with less. I was rewatching the Ravens game last night, and there were moments in time, if not the majority of the time, where I asked myself, who's the best player on the Ravens offense? I mean, make no mistake about it. Derrick Henry rushed for 120-plus yards in that game. I'm sitting there watching this game, and I'm saying, the Ravens offense has 2 Hall of Famers. The Bills offense, it just has Josh Allen. So if there has to be a differentiating factor for me, I'm going advantage Josh Allen because he is doing just as much, if not more, from a team collective win perspective with less. Lamar's a superstar. Josh is a superstar. But if something has to be the difference maker, what Josh Allen is doing with whom he is doing it with is what separates it. So when...
Okay. So that was Emmanuel Acho from the facility on Fox Sports 1, giving his reasoning on why Lamar Jackson should not be the MVP in favor of Josh Allen. Basically saying Josh Allen is doing more with less. And so, again, man, I told you this, I think, before we went on air today. We literally used to pray for times like this, when fans of other teams and outsiders that, basically non-Ravens fans are sitting up here and saying that Lamar Jackson has got a litany of weapons at his disposal. We've been waiting for that day. But I would like to go ahead and kind of give you this. Let's bring up the stats here. Let's bring up the stats really quick. Since stats are something that, a lot of these guys are really, really hanging their hats on this season, this go around. You look at the head-to-head. First of all, Lamar Jackson has a win over Josh Allen this season. But if you look at these stats here, higher completion percentage, higher passing yards. Mind you, Josh Allen has 30 more passing attempts than Lamar Jackson does this season. But nevertheless, Lamar Jackson has more passing yards, more passing touchdowns by 11, less interceptions. I mean, a higher passer rating. It's just more rushing yards. The only thing that he's not beating him in is QB record and rushing touchdowns. Not to mention, Josh Allen has punched it in from the 1-yard line countless times this season. So when you look at these numbers, you really cannot dispute. Now, what the analysts would tell me, what they would argue with me in return to this point that I just made, they would say, well, last year, Josh Allen's numbers were better than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson still won the award. Okay. So now since we're looking at quarterback wins primarily now, that's where we want to take this in this direction. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the Bills' most signature wins this season. Let's take a look at their signature wins this season. Just really quick. I want to share this with you guys. I'm sure you guys can see it on screen right now. Let's go to big win, right? It was a big win. Chiefs, right? Chiefs, 30-21 victory on November 17th. Scroll down and see what Josh Allen did in that game. Put the ball in the air 40 times for 262 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Had a rushing touchdown as well. That's a good game. But is it really MVP caliber? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it really MVP caliber? And then you go to the other big game he had against the Lions, right? Bills beat the Lions 48-42. Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns, 23 for 34, 362. Okay, good numbers. But are we talking same level of MVP numbers that Lamar Jackson had last season against his biggest wins, right? His biggest wins last season, Lamar Jackson, was against the 49ers. And then also against the Detroit Lions. Destroyed the Lions, by the way. Destroyed the Lions. And played really well in both of those games. Dolphins as well. But if we go ahead and take a look at that one, right? Let's take a look and see where we are here. Destroyed the Lions 38-6. Lamar Jackson, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns. 21 for 27. Just about as efficient as can be. Only 6 incompletions and 3 touchdowns. Right. And then you go back and you look at Christmas Day game, right? Christmas Day against the 49ers. Rushing touchdown as well. Lamar Jackson, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 for 35. So the numbers in terms of the big wins, the signature wins last year to this year for Josh Allen are similar. Numbers head to head, which I think should be the tiebreaker in this regard, it's far and away Lamar Jackson. And if you still don't want to give it to him because of the numbers, let's just look at the head-to-head matchup. Right? Like, I think that's all we have to look at. 35-10, Lamar Jackson threw 2 passing touchdowns. That was enough to beat the Bills that night without his rushing touchdown as well. That alone, those 2 passing touchdowns alone were enough to beat the Bills. And that's something that I feel like nobody is really even acknowledging right now. Not to mention the week after that, they play the Texans and he goes, 9 for 30 or something like that? And those are MVP numbers. By the way, last year, Josh Allen did not lose the MVP race because of the quarterback wins from Lamar Jackson. He lost it because he threw 18 damn interceptions. Okay? I don't know if Lamar Jackson has 18 interceptions this year and last year combined. I don't know if he does. Does he? I don't think he threw that many interceptions last year either. I could be wrong on that. He's only got 4. He's only got 4 this season. I can't imagine he threw 15. I can't imagine he threw 15 or more interceptions. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I just don't understand. I don't quite understand where this argument is. And it kind of does make me think it's like a Make-A-Wish MVP. Like Dan Orlovsky said it himself, and I don't have the clip from him, but he said it himself earlier today on Get Up, First Take, whatever it was. You know, Lamar already has 2. So we got to give it to Josh Allen for 1. But with these numbers, and also I want to bring up one more thing before I toss it back to you. They say, oh, Lamar can't win it because of 5 losses. I would argue that the fact that Lamar Jackson has his team contending for a division title, already at double-digit wins, being the most penalized team in the NFL, and all 5 losses being by combined 22 points, where our kicker, who is struggling, I don't mean to bash on Justin Tucker, he's been doing a little bit better lately, right? But we lost those games by a combined total of 22 points, in which all those games, we missed a combined total of 22 points worth of kicks. I'm going to leave it there. Alex, what are you taking from all this? Take it away. Just take it away. I'm going to blow a gasket here.
You're good. So, first and foremost, I'm not a Bills hater. I like Josh Allen. 2019, I was a big Josh. I still like Josh Allen. I was a big Josh Allen fan rookie year in 2019, by the way. Let me just get that out there. With that being said, this graphic is the definition of put a shirt on versus empowering. This is the literal meme definition of that. It literally is. I just want to step back, and I don't want to have my purple glasses on too bad, but when you look at the AFC East, all right, let's just talk about the AFC East this year.
Yeah.
Patriots, what have they been since Tom Brady?
Nothing.
New York Jets, what have they been since we've been alive? They've had what, 1 or 2 good years? Well, yeah, you know. Miami Dolphins, 7 wins. Tua was hurt. How many? You know, and even then they spend all that money for what? Still not a playoff win to show for it. So you look at the AFC North, and granted, Steelers obviously leading the division. Like, Browns not doing the best. Bengals record doesn't show, but their offense is going to give any defense in this league how. I'll stand on that. They can go against whoever you think the best defense is, and I promise you, Burrow put up 2-3 touchdowns on them, probably 30 points on their day. With this, Lamar finally has people around him, and now it's his problem. You weren't saying this, years prior, and like you said, it feels like they just want to give it to him. They're just like, here, take it. Can I tell you a fun fact?
Yeah.
Guess who has more touchdowns than Derrick Henry?
That would be James Cook.
But why are we not hearing about this? You know, when you talk about having this
Beats
guy in
me.
the backfield, you know, the Bills ran a play for Josh Allen to get a certain passing touchdown because they flipped it. They're literally stat padding for him. Like that's like to me, genuinely to me, I care more about this whole playoff stuff. Like as a Raven fan, 2 MVPs is cool. I never thought I'd see a Raven win MVP. I really didn't. But I want the Super Bowl. I want that. Bills fans, I know you don't know what that is like 4 in a row. I know it hurts. I know. I get it. But we care about winning that Lombardi for the 3rd time. And we've only been around how many years? So with that being said, it is very much a sympathy award. It is like that kid. It's that kid who you probably played a sport and you always beat them. And and so what? Wait, let them get it for once. Let them win for once. It's like playing your little brother. Let him win for once. And no, it's very obvious to me whose better quarterback has been. It's not Lamar's fault that I'm sorry. The Bills knew Josh Allen couldn't do shit without number 1 receiver, and they had to trade for Amari Cooper. Look at his stats. Look at his stats against Houston Texans. This game literally has been wiped from everybody's memory. If you can.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Josh Allen stats against the Houston Texans this year. How Josh Allen got benched against the Steelers. Against the Ravens in week 4 because we were whipping that ass so bad. They put in Mitchell Trubisky.
You see it.
Our quarterback gets benched when we're winning by a lot. 9 for 30. Guys, don't look up Josh Allen 930. That's not his birthday. No. That was this. This is your MVP. Oh, the arm punt. That wasn't an interception. Dan Orlovsky, I have respect, a lot of respect for him. But to sit there and defend an interception like that, you're defending an interception. If the Patriots player had any sense of the mind, he takes a knee in the end zone. But he tries to run it out and get stopped at the 1. Like, since when are we defending interceptions?
Yeah,
this is a 2024 NFL.
Arm punt.
That's why I say Madden.
The audacity for CBS. You saw what CBS did too, right? CBS is actually posting it on their socials. Like, oh yeah, Josh Allen throws an arm punt. It's like, bro. And then they have the nerve when they're bringing up the stats after the game's over. They have the nerve to just completely omit Josh Allen's interception, but they conveniently put Drake May's interception in there in the stat line. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Like, call it for what it is. He threw a pick, And Dan Orlovsky saying, oh, that's not a pick. That's not a pick. It's an arm punt. It's like, so you're telling me 2nd quarter, 8 minutes left. I think they were down 7. I think they were down 7 at the time. You're telling me you can't go and get 10 yards over the middle of the field or something like that, 12 yards over the middle of the field. Yeah, maybe you'll be short of the first down because it was 3rd and 16, but you'll be in field goal range. You'll be in a good spot to get 3 points, but that's an arm punt. Come on, man. You can't make this stuff up too. CBS was totally shameless for doing that. Says KP here.
Even this, they flexed that game for a reason. Why would you flex Bills, Patriots, a really good team that's a really bad team, to put your quarterback, who's an MVP front runner, in front of the national media? And he dropped a stinker, by the way.
Yeah.
He had the lowest pass rating, I think, of the week.
Yep.
This is no hate. I do like Josh Allen, but for what they are doing here, his PR is unbelievable. Unbelievable. If a certain German leader had this PR, we'd all be speaking German. Guten Tag.
Oh, jeez.
I can make that joke.
You can. Wow.
Promise you. But yeah. So yeah. I just don't. It's just unbelievable. It's
benched in this game.
Josh Allen, stinker, and hooked. Stinker.
Man, I really don't know what the propaganda is all about this year. Because if you look at it this way, if let's say I don't know, let's say Jaden Daniels, let's say Justin Herbert, let's say Caleb Williams. You can take most quarterbacks in this league. If they are putting up the numbers that you see here from Lamar Jackson with 2 weeks remaining, right? Almost 4,000 passing yards. Oh, and by the way, this is a guy who nobody ever thought he was ever going to get 4,000 passing yards in the season, just by the nature of what type of quarterback he is, right? This is a career high. These are career high numbers, by the way. Better than his first MVP season, his unanimous MVP season. Only other quarterback to win a unanimous MVP is Tom Brady. So you're telling me that Josh Allen, with these numbers here, is having a better season than 2019 MVP Lamar and unanimous MVP Tom Brady. It's just, but again, like I said, let me backtrack. If Caleb Williams, if Justin Herbert, if Jaden Daniels, if and I don't mean to like, throw shade on those guys at all. I really don't. But if any of those guys had the same stat line that Lamar Jackson had right now with 2 weeks to go in the season, it would be far and away who the MVP would be right now. Far and away. At least I think. I think that it's really just voter fatigue. It's politics. They're looking at Lamar Jackson. They're saying, hey, yeah, we know that MVP is a regular season award, but like, look, you've got 2 of them already. You don't have a Super Bowl. So we're kind of going to quietly disqualify you from this year's award. And we're going to do everything in our power. And I can tell you right now, there's a lot of people who are probably hoping Lamar Jackson would not have the type of season that he's having right now. So at this point in the season, we wouldn't have to have this conversation. But guess what? Another year, and we're having this conversation in December, whether or not Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the league. According to these numbers, these are the 2 best quarterbacks in the league right now, as this season. And according to these numbers, It's clear and obvious which quarterback is better. This is really proving that the bias is still there. Jeremiah says it here. It's really proving, there's just huge bias in this argument.
I do have something that I could get a little fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Is Josh Allen even having a better year than Joe Burrow?
Ooh.
Is he? And that's where the record comes into play. And I get that.
Yeah.
And I get that. I would love to see those 2 guys. You know what I mean? But like, you give Burrow 2 more. If Burrow's over 500, he's in this conversation. I get, and if they're in a wild card spot, just like Lamar is. But it's going to come out of the weapons and this and that. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
Let me see. Let me try to get the Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow stats pulled up real quick because I want to see just how much. Real quick.
I understand why he's not because of the record. They're not even in the playoff. I get that.
And I get that as well. And honestly, looking at it here, when it comes to everything outside of rushing, Joe Burrow, he's pretty much got him beat. But the rushing does make you more valuable as a quarterback. I can totally agree with that. So I can see where you can give Josh Allen the nod over Joe Burrow, especially with the record and things like that as well. But man, oh man, it's
and I hate to bring this up.
Go ahead.
Just look who Josh Allen's beat in the playoffs. And I know I'm as a Ravens fan, I really can't say that much, but
yeah.
Mac Jones, Skylar Thompson, Mason.
Oh yeah, those were
Rudolph.
career stats. My bad. Yeah.
It's I don't want to sit here and try. They're 2 great quarterbacks. So, whatever. I just want us to go. Whatever.
Yeah. I wanted to win a Super Bowl. We mentioned it the other year, or not the other year, but the other episode, right? This whole MVP thing is cool, but as Ravens fans, of course, we are kind of used to it at this point. But it seems very, very unfair. And I know Lamar Jackson doesn't give a shit about it. He's talked about that multiple times. Like he's chasing a bigger award. But at the end of the day, when we look back on Lamar Jackson's career, the fact that he would have had an MVP season robbed from him, we're going to be talking about that for years and years to come. I think it was in 2006 when Kobe Bryant got the MVP award robbed from him for Steve Nash. and Kobe Bryant was far and away the MVP in a lot of people's eyes, but again, politics and voter fatigue, things like that kick in, and we have situations like this, so I'm gonna leave it at that for this topic here.
We're pushing stuff back 4 years. Sorry. No, you're good. No, I mean, it's funny that a couple years ago, Josh Allen, he's a better quarterback because he throws. Ball go far. Lamar has more passing yards, more passing touchdowns. But who would have thought?
Less attempts.
The roles change, and I get it. It's hard to accept change. It's hard to accept, when you get broken up with and you see him moving. It's hard to accept that change. But sometimes think about the old days and the old days, and unfortunately, you have to accept what the new days are. So, all good.
Yeah.
So we're focused on playoffs. Getting there. I know Lamar is as well. So I'm looking forward to that. That's why I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. So.
Yeah, it's just a hot topic we've been seeing today all over social media. People comparing Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson, coming up with every reason in the book, doing all these mental gymnastics on why Josh Allen deserves MVP over Lamar Jackson. And when you say deserves, that's where I have an issue with it. Like, it's just unanimous. Like, it's just, far and away. Like, Rex Ryan was just an asinine take this morning. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close. Like, come on, man. That's just insane to me. So we had to talk about it here. We're going to go ahead and leave it there for that segment in this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank y'all so much for coming through. Again, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast, like you see down below. You can follow me on X or Instagram at Sutton Def. If you're watching this on X right now, hello, maybe follow me. And then make sure you go ahead and follow Simply AS10 on X at Simply AS10 and on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. And like you led the episode with, Manscaped is indeed our sponsor. So you can go on manscaped.com, fill your cart high to the sky, right? And I know Christmas is 2 days away, so you're not going to have time to get a gift in time for Christmas. But if you want to get something for yourself, right? If you want to get a late gift for somebody, New Year's gift, some people even do things like that. There's other holidays in the mix in play here. Make sure you go ahead and go on Manscaped, use our code PRP. You're going to get 20% off plus free international shipping. Thank y'all so much for coming through. We love y'all. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Happy holidays to all. We love you. We appreciate you. As always, stay positive, test negative.
Yes. And never, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. It's been another episode of the Purple Rain podcast. We're going to see you guys in the next one.